Bloody Marys.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm starting us recording.
Yes.
Bloody Marys. Good place to start.
Amazing.
I mean, if June's involved, that's the only way to start.
Hmm.
Indeed. All right. Well, let's talk about our Unreeling and where we are and why we're there.
Yep.
I think the answer is we don't know and we don't know.
It, because I just want to make it clear so it's on the recording that our location is the Dance Hall of Oblivion, which exists outside in space and time.
Hmm.
Because our neighborhood, our aspect ratio box is so big, it encompasses all of the spaces that we could go to, and we have to go outside of that. So
Yes.
Is this somewhere you're supposed to go?
The silly answer in me wants to be, yeah, if you need a place to get away from it all, from everything that exists, and
I
those
feel
are the
that.
flyers that are posted everywhere in the world. It's the
I
only
should.
way to get away from everything.
So, did we determine the space on the map we're taking up?
Yes.
Can someone
Oh, this area?
can you color it in so I can see it for realsies?
Sure.
And you can make it a different color than the final color. Anyway, not important. It looks like I've got an arc.
you've got an arc. That's the important part.
Okay,
And
brilliant.
then
Now,
Cool.
where'd my
will
character
do.
sheet go? Here we go.
Okay. Filler words. I said this jokingly, I think during our break, but I want Brian's filler word to be uh
I think Troy's fill word is dude.
Yeah, that's very much a good one for him.
I'll
um,
go with butt.
I think Kaylee's is going to be clucking her tongue, like, or that kind of thing.
Are you
mhm.
sure that's not June's? Actually, I think I've legitimately made that June's once before, but anyway,
Well,
neither
maybe
here nor
Kaylee's
there.
picked it up from her.
Oh, maybe she
Ooh.
has. Okay. So here we are. Who wants to describe what does this place really look like?
I don't think we can though, is the thing.
I think it's like you don't see anything, but you hear the music. It's like tranquility, and then it's like this anticipation, and then it's like the piece of a simple natural beauty, and then it's like the crash of traffic. And it's not like the visual of these things, it's just the raw motion. And it's those feelings that make up the notes and the beats on the dance floor of Oblivion.
I
Mhm.
also think that nothing exists unless we interact with it and then it becomes real. And then when we stop interacting with it, it no longer exists.
Mhm.
So I feel like we're all in the darkness, and then June's hand touches someone else's hand. Whose hand touches June's?
Kaylee's still in her cage, so not Kaylee.
Well, Brian's not in his cage. He managed to get out, otherwise we wouldn't be here. So, uh, that's my suggestion.
All right.
Be good.
So I guess like June's hand would feel like it'd be large and warm, but also like weathered, like kind of like rough skin, like from
Mhm.
too much smoke.
Right. Um, and Brian's hand feels rough in a similar way, but it feels rough like the texture of old books.
And I think Brian has like the emotion of like the shrinking feeling you get when June is side eyeing you.
Mm-hmm. Um, you you feel something retreat very far away, but not into the darkness where Brian would become nothing. Somehow you can still feel him.
Like now
Well,
I've touched you, now you're real, and I can see you wherever you go
Mm-hmm.
in Oblivion.
Mm-hmm.
I think you both hear a sizzling sound like water in a really hot frying pan as Kaylee peels open the bars of her cage and she steps out. And as she steps out, the cage just kind of poofs into like dust and smoke. And as she steps down, we see her bare feet make contact with nothing, but then the nothing becomes like the light of a dance floor, but only the square that she's on is lit up.
Mm.
Nice.
Ooh.
Uh, dude. Troy lets out as suddenly he's between June and Kaylee, and they're much closer together than you realize because he's clapped one hand on either one of their shoulders, and now you're standing right next to each other. And uh, he looks out across the nothingness, and he could already see, but now sees. So he sees Brian across the nothingness.
Mm-hmm.
He must have brushed up against you earlier, or dot dot dot.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but what do my eyes confess to you? And uh, tell me why you're making such intense eye contact with me.
I'm making intense eye contact with you because I'm just like, ooh, I accidentally was trying to find my way in the darkness, and then June was there, and I I put my hand on the back of my neck like this and start. Um, I I also have my hand up, but then your like the perspective in the scene is so weird because we're in like the space where before I was like with June over here on like the opposite side you feel of the dance hall,
Mm-hmm.
and I still have my hand up to like maybe grab June's hand again and then like start like ballroom dancing with her because that's a thing that Brian knows how to do and was like trained to do. Um, he Now you're over there with June, and he he tries to come forward across an unimaginable distance but can't on his own, and you can feel that.
I think June like an invisible lasso and throws it at you, and we hear a whip crack and yeehaw off screen from earlier from the cowboy section,
Mm-hmm.
and then she like reels you in back into at least our local dance
And I
floor.
think, like, as that happens, Troy like moves his hands from off of the both the women, and like puts them onto Brian's shoulders,
Mm-hmm.
and is like, "I was close."
I think
Uh,
Kaylee just laughs and says, "Well, about time you joined the party."
And I also have to answer, how has our relationship changed? Um,
all right.
I think Troy feels like, possibly for the first time ever, like he almost lost something,
Mm.
you know?
Mm.
Anyway, that was my answer.
Yep.
Please
So
continue.
so I got lassoed and pulled in, and now people are touching me. So I made like that sound, which is my filler word.
Yep, yep.
Um, so I'm spending one of my arcs, and the first person I end up looking at is Kaylee. Um, now that we're all in one group, what do my eyes confess to you, and tell me why you're making such intense eye contact with me?
Um, your eyes confess to me not just your insecurity, it's deeper than that. It's it can your eyes confess to me the root of your insecurity. What is it?
The reason I am so insecure right now is because the incinerator is a part of me, and now you're all literally like you're all in my space, and we're all in a secret that I keep from everyone, even the people that have tasked me to like control the incinerator. Nobody goes in the incinerator except me
Mm.
to incinerate what needs to be incinerated.
I am making such intense eye contact with you because I accept you.
And for a moment, the dance hall flashes into the last Unreeling we did, where we were at the B&B, and we're in like that one house in the B&B where we were all together, and we had that table where we were weaving, and June was drinking a Bloody Mary and all that jazz.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Mhm. And um, that was one of the few other times I felt accepted. And whereas the dogs weren't in the scene before, all four of the copies of dogs come in and they start playing together. And um, the dog comes like under the table and like starts like hopping over the legs underneath the table and starts like looking up at me the down from like under the table and just like wagging its tail. And um I think more images from Brian's personal life start showing up, like instead of everybody weaving on the table, which really wasn't for him, even though he has the basket sleeve on his arm which represents him, he starts seeing all of these like scrappy, uh, torn apart toy robots on the table, and some of them are like doing little marches, and they're operational. Um, and one falls over, and Brian takes the toy robot in his hand, the one that doesn't have the basket sleeve on it, and with the basket sleeve, he starts to like really seriously and like solemnly look at the robot. Um, and he turns it over, opens the battery pack, puts new batteries in, um, picks a remote control off the table, puts it to his chest, and puts the robot on the table and checks to see if the batteries are working, and starts operating the robot by holding the remote control to his chest and seeing the robot move across the table to march over, and like he starts steering it into another robot to go fight the other robot, and it kicks the robot over and it scampers like almost off the table, but doesn't quite clatter to the floor.
Can all of us see this?
Yes, you can.
Also,
I'd like to like.
how does our relationship change, real quick?
Oh yeah, that's important.
Mhm. You have. We're so much closer now. I think the answer is so simple.
Okay.
So I think like when we're flashing back to the part on the train, we see this part where June and Kaylee are walking, and at one point, like June's like adjusts her skirt, and back on the dance hall, like June looks at Kaylee and is like, "Did you touch my butt?" Use my dot. Answer that, and also answer, "What's your favorite thing in the world?" And tell me why you like it so much.
I think Kaylee just like looks taken aback for a moment, and then she laughs and she's like, "No." um, what is Kaylee's favorite thing? Ooh, that's hard. I think it's family. I think her family is really important to her.
Her family that all died in the thing that wasn't a fire.
Yeah.
I guess you like it because it's your family.
No, I love my family. I miss them. I think about them a lot.
I think we see we're for a moment we're like drawn away from the dance floor, and we see like this dark bathroom, and we hear two little girls whispering, and one of them says, "Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary." And she turns around, and June is like reflected in the mirror, and she's holding a Bloody Mary, and she's giving these kids the side eye, like, "What do you kids think you're doing?" But we also see like Kaylee from outside the mirror, and she can see that these are her two daughters.
Aw. And she waves to the mirror at them.
And I think June looks at Kaylee and back at the girls, and then she hears a barking also through the mirror, and then she passes through the mirror, like scolding the girls and chasing the three of them, the two girls and the dog, through the mirror, back to the other side. And she gets stuck on the other side of the mirror, and the house is about to turn to ash.
Oh well. Bye, June.
No. Ah.
You can still save June.
Ah. Who wants to save June though?
I mean, who here is the most likely to be a hero? Big ol' hero.
Okay, Troy needs to show off, and he's like, "Whoa!" And he's like gonna grab a rope out of question mark question mark question mark, and he's tied it off to something. Looks like a fire hydrant, maybe. And then he like leaps through the mirror after June, like with this rope. It's like swings in and like grabs her like around the waist And swings back out again. That was close. And he's got like both hands on June's shoulders, just like he did to Brian, like infinity ago.
Mm-hmm.
Way
Wait,
too close.
we all need to be more careful, right?
As you're saying that, we just see Kaylee almost like playing hopscotch with like the dance floor tiles, because she's just kind of like jumping from one to the other, and as she leaves one it goes dark and then the other one lights up just as her foot touches it, and she's just kind of like jumping between them. But we can also see that with every like step that she like puts her foot down on, like she's cat like motes of dust are almost like sparkling and then dissolving in the blackness.
How? What's this dance move? I need to learn this dance move.
Do you want me to show you?
Yeah, please. I've never been able to do this in the incinerator before.
Okay, so you have to put your foot like this, and
Okay.
then you have to find the next tile and you have to jump to it like this. And Kaylee like will take Brian's hands and start to show him the dance that she's doing.
Mhm. Um, I think Brian catches up pretty quickly,
Mhm.
and um, it maybe takes your guidance for only maybe like a minute,
Mhm.
and then he has this dance move down, and he's able to like make the motes of light come out of himself as well.
Ooh, be careful with that. That's your skin.
uh, it is. It doesn't feel hot. Um, and then I look at Kaylee. What's Kaylee's favorite thing in the world, and tell me why you like it so much.
um
And it can't
Being
be family because
alive.
you already said that. Ooh, being alive.
She, I mean, as much as she
Hmm.
misses her family, she really, and she knows that she should be dead, and so she's going to make the most of this second chance at life that she has.
Hmm. Okay, this is a weird way to do this.
Welcome to the game.
Yeah, because I need to manifest something you already have. So,
Maybe
Bright
just
stops dancing, and the lights, as you pause to like care for Brian, the
Mhm.
lights between under both of us, because we've stopped dancing, go out, and we start falling through darkness.
Ooh, so I think as you're manifesting this, because you're doing a thing that's gonna answer one of my questions, I'm gonna go, you should have done that. And that triggers my thing of, where are you taking me? Explain to me why we have to go there.
Mhm.
So, and part of that, there we go, perfect.
I am taking you to I'm taking you not to a dead planet, but to a deaf planet where we show up on this planet of um whereas the composition of most asteroids and planets that aren't built for life always end up being dark gray because of the matter they're made out of. Um, this this is not that kind of dead planet. It's a planet that emanates death itself. So there's this dark smoke energy This could very well be an undetectable gas giant that radiates not much energy, is basically undetectable because the the composition of the atmosphere does not reflect light. And I've taken you to an undetectable planet of death, and we have to go here because I need to show you your family.
Okay.
And I take your hand, and you can finally start hearing my voice again through the gas of this planet, and you hear me say, I've only been here once before, and it's almost like Brian's speech keeps getting cut off, like by the soundbite of whipping wind, like, and uh, everything feels like it's moving super quickly. And uh, Brian takes you to see your mom first. What does your mom look like, and who who is she? What do you say to her?
Um,
Hmm.
my my mom looks a lot like me. So Kaylee, I remember she's like dark skinned. I think we see the after effects of her being burned though. So like her skin is charred and crispy in places. She doesn't have any hair on her body anywhere. Um, I don't think she has clothes. And I don't think Kaylee says anything. I think Kaylee just like tears stream down her cheeks and they just embrace and then they both fall into ashes.
Um, Brian says, Kaylee. And Brian turns around and sees someone that he distantly recognizes from the past and says, and what we see is uh, the mask that Kaylee has, only um, it's the mask as Trinity as a full person.
Mm.
And that was my last thing that I could do. So I feel like um, Brian gets really confused, and then there's a flash of light that takes him probably back into the reality show.
I think everybody used all their
Yep.
prompts, so
Yep.
that's
Cool.
that's
It's
it.
unreeling.
That went places.
That's what happens in the dance hall of Oblivion.
I cannot disagree. Um, that's it. We just say goodbye.
Mhm.
No, we need to determine
Oh,
who did
who
this
won?
time.
Oh gosh, who won?
I feel like Troy again.
I kind of do too.
Troy the winner.
Troy's a winner. That's what he does.
His only job to
He's
win a
good at
reality
it.
show.
I
But
feel
also
like-
he had a really good time. He's like, man, I had some really good drugs, and now I'm in this crazy dance hall, and I got to be a hero.
Mhm.
I feel like Troy's enjoyment graph is kind of like this, whereas Brian's enjoyment graph is like this.
Mhm.
Except I feel like Troy's is like this, and Brian's is like this.
Mm. Mhm.
I mean, that's the drugs.
You just gotta do more drugs. Like, I wouldn't condone using any drugs that's like bad, but I mean, for my personal experience, it's been all right.
Mhm. But yeah, I feel like Brian had a really good time in some places, and then tried to make other people happy, and then ended up in a death planet.
Yeah, I feel like taking us to the Death Planet wasn't necessarily where you should have taken us. But,
Had to
you
go
know,
there.
it's fine.
Okay, so Troy is the winner,
Yep.
and now we move on.
Mhm.
Don't forget to like and subscribe. All of the good junk. Good night.
Mhm.